Xbox has games now? Now that the big guys have shown what they have in the pipeline for the next few years, Microsoft has done something many have been waiting for. Have games. Most of these games are exclusive to Xbox and PC, and others are just timed exclusives. But for those that have been able to get their hands on a Series X or an S, you'll have some new games to play as soon as next month. Now you already know the big games Microsoft is known for, like Halo and Forza, were shown, and they look good. Although I'm not as impressed by the location of Horizon 5, I do see an upgrade in graphics. Forza Horizon has always been pretty good, so I'm looking forward to it when it releases this November. Halo Infinite has been long awaited since last year's reveal, if only to see if 343 can manage to upgrade the graphics. And it does look better than last year, but I'm still not impressed. Although Halo's graphics have never really impressed me, the art style is just very flat, and it doesn't really lend itself to noticeable upgrades. Now I could see where there could be improvements, sure, but this is 343 we're talking about, and I haven't been impressed with their efforts with Halo at all. But having said that, I'm not gonna knock the game because of that. Even a mediocre Halo game is still a pretty good Halo game. I'm actually interested in the single player campaign since it looks like they'll focus on Master Chief a lot more this time than Part 5 did. And with the multiplayer being free to play, I'll finally be able to get back into the series without having to pay for Xbox Live, and that's a huge win in my book. But how will that affect the game's mechanics is not known yet. I'm sure it'll be filled with microtransactions though, lots of cosmetics to buy and all of the usual free-to-play purchases we've come to expect. We'll see how it all work out when Halo Infinite releases this year. And while Halo and Forza are their biggest hitters, we can't rule out the other games that they showed, like Stalker 2. I haven't played the first set of Stalker games, but this looks a lot like the Metro series, a first-person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic Russia. And while I doubt the games are exactly alike, the Stalker series has gotten a lot of praise over the years, and what they showed at E3 looks great. Stalker 2 is scheduled to release in April 2022. Then there was Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't even know why I want this game, but the graphics look incredible. At a certain point, the game looked so real that people that passed by thought I was watching a travel video. So get your passport ready because Flight Sim releases for the Series X this July, although it's already out for the PC. The Ascent is a game I've been looking forward to since they announced it last year. A top-down shooter in a grungy cyberpunk world. What's not to like? There seems to be a lot of attention to detail in the environment and how the NPCs behave, so I'm looking forward to playing this when it releases July 29th. Then there was some indie games and multiplats which looked promising. Most are just timed exclusives if it wasn't outright said. Somerville looked interesting, but I'm not sure what it's about. It looks similar to Limbo or Inside since it's made by the same creator, so we'll see more when it releases next year. Psychonauts 2 is a game I've waited forever to play. With a style like Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, this fun platformer game has you traveling into people's minds to solve the game's mystery. Everybody's psyche is different, and it creates these crazy worlds that you play through. If you haven't played the first game and would like to play something different that is actually creative and colorful for a change, pick it up. I can't wait for Psychonauts 2 to finally release on August 25th. And finally, Starfield. I put Starfield last even though it was the first game at the conference shown, because they really didn't show much of anything with the game. But it is a game that Xbox has, and so it's on this list. We have until November of next year to really find out what Starfield is all about. And then there were other games which are either multiplats or indies coming this year or next year, like Far Cry 6, Riders Republic, which looks like Ubisoft's last game, Steep, but with bikes and a lot more crazy, and it looks pretty good. But I'm not sure if it will be always online, which would be terrible if they did that. There was also DLC for Watch Dogs Legion, where Aiden Pierce returns, and apparently the annoying guy with the digital mask from Part 2. So it might be cool if you enjoyed Watch Dogs Legion. A Plague Tale sequel, Plague Tale Requiem, looks pretty good too. I never played the first one, so I should probably go and play that right now. Atomic Heart looks crazy in a good way, but who knows when that'll release. And speaking of crazy graphics, check out Replaced. This game's 3D pixel art style is crazy and I love it. I don't know what it's about, but I'm definitely interested. And speaking of 3D pixel art, there was also the Eildon Chronicles, which is very difficult to say, which is said to be a successor to the Suikoden series. Another game that was very difficult to say. And I have to say that this 3D pixel aesthetic in games is pretty cool. Let's just hope they don't overdo it. And listen, everyone who's upset that the Final Fantasy remasters are only going to mobile, I have no doubt that they'll make their way to Switch and the other consoles soon enough. There was also Trek to Yomi, a samurai game that looks like a 2.5D Ghost of Tsushima, which might be cool. And the Anacrusis, whatever. Anacrusis. And the Anacrusis, another game that has a name that's difficult to say, which is like a sci-fi Left 4 Dead. And Back 4 Blood, which is like a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. And Red Wave, which is like a magical version of Left 4 Dead, but with vampires. You think Valve will finally get the hint? No? So that's a lot of games for 2021 and 2022, but will any of them be good? I'm sure most will and others might disappoint, but I will say if you have Game Pass, you're really going to get your money's worth playing all these games. I mean, I'm not about to spend 180 plus bucks a year on Game Pass, but if you got it, you're good to go. Though it's a real shame that this year's E3 felt so lackluster. Sony didn't have a presence at all, and we had to rely on their State of Play, which was a while ago. I can't really comment on Sony's new games coming up. I mean, they've got Ratchet & Clank, but what's next? Horizon, Forbidden West? And then what? I like the competition that comes from E3, but with Sony bowing out, there isn't much to say this time. Hopefully a new State of Play will be soon, and we'll see what new exclusives Sony has. And Nintendo did their thing, but aside from Advance Wars Remake, the Mario Rabbids Tactics sequel, and Metroid, I wasn't too impressed. I mean, Kazuya is in Smash though, so I've got that to look forward to. I'd also like to mention Metal Slug Tactics, even though it's only coming to PC for now. But yeah, that's basically the majority of games I'm interested in from E3 this year, but it's no surprise that everyone is talking about Xbox, since they had the biggest showing this year. Square Enix dropped the ball, and Capcom barely had anything new, and Ubisoft had a lot of DLC and Far Cry. And hey, whatever happened to Beyond Good and Evil 2? And does anyone remember that cat game that they showed off last year? Where did that go? And the one game where you're an astronaut and the little girl? I don't even know. Oh well, there are bound to be a lot of games that I missed. So tell me what you're looking forward to from this year's E3. Have you even been able to get a Series X or an S, or even a PS5 to even play these games? I'd like to know what you guys have to say. But anyway, till next time.